Mr. Donahue, when you hear these stories of abuse and the impact they've had, devastating impact, what goes through your mind?
Anger all across the board at a lot of different people. Anger at some of the bishops who allowed this to happen, who played musical chairs with these predator priests. Anger at the media and the Catholic Church for not telling the truth that we have a homosexual scandal, not a pedophilia scandal. Anger at some of the bogus claims. I've taken a look at the time chart on this stuff. Back in the 60s and 70s, the sexual revolution, that's where most of it took place, except for the last few years. All of a sudden, it goes through the roof. Why? Because there's a lot of deep pocket lawyers out there trying to hustle these people. And these files that were that were released, you've got men back in the 19th century. You've got guys who are in there for alcoholism thrown in there. You've got priests who are accused of abusing somebody when the priest was the age of 2. I damn the Archdiocese of Los Angeles for releasing the names of these priests who have been accused but never credibly. And for some of these lawyers, you won't get any trophies from me for what you've done on this. There's no segment of an American population which has less civil liberties protection today than the average American priest. And so there's 42,000 of them. Most of them are good men.
So, Mr. Donahue, are you saying that many of these complaints and allegations are not legitimate?
I know of a priest by the name of Gordon McRae who's sitting in prison right now, who Dorothy Rabinowitz has written about in the Wall Street Journal, who's now telling me that lawyers are telling the prisoners, when you get out, make an accusation against the priest, I'll represent you, you can shake them down. That's because the Catholic Church, having screwed up so badly in moving these people around from place to place and not being like men, you know what should be done? They should listen to Jesus Christ. He said that if an adult puts his hand on a child and violates him, he'd be better off to have a millstone put on his neck and thrown into the ocean. And that's where some of these bishops belong and these priests, in the ocean. They should have been punished. But I'm also outraged the fact that good priests are having their names maligned, their names being dragged through the mud, when even the Archdiocese of Los Angeles admits that a lot of the names that have come out, there's no credible accusation against them. They just want to write a check and get it off their desk. There's a lot of blame to go around.
And obviously, Mr. Boucher, I'd like to hear your comments on that.
You know, there aren't very many people who are going to stand up in public and say, I was sodomized, or I was brutalized sexually by a priest. They don't do it for money. They do it because they've finally found the courage to stand up, and they hope that other people will come forward, because the devastation in their lives is beyond anything that we could possibly explain.
Having said that, though, do you think there are cases when priests are being wrongly accused? In other words, is there a bandwagon effect as a result of some of these allegations? That's not to say that many aren't credible, but do you think that people are, jumping on the bandwagon?
Quite the contrary. In fact, we have a lot of victims that come forward and say, I don't want any money for it. I don't even want to file a claim. I just want this to stop. The people we represent have to go through 2 psychiatric evaluations. They have to go through intensive interviews. They have to be analyzed, and declarations under penalty of perjury filed with the court before a claim can be filed. Is there a theoretical case out there? Perhaps, but not in any of the cases that I've seen.
And Manny, ideally, what would you like to happen as a result of these allegations?
As a result of these allegations, obviously, I would like to see that there's a full, open book to everything that occurred, that everybody could take a look at the atrocities that occurred. I mean, it's totally disgusting to realize that a organization such as the Catholic Church, especially the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, could have protected these people. Myself, excuse me, as a police officer, police detective who worked sex abuse cases, I mean, I was completely disgusted in just investigating those particular cases. And when you look at an organization as a whole who's protected a lot of these individuals, it seconds me.
How much money does the average victim or alleged victim stand to gain from a result of these lawsuits?
They're not going to gain anything, but they'll be compensated for the human damages they've suffered.
What does that mean? Do you know?
Well, around the country, it's been anywhere from $100,000, $150,000 up to $1.5 million, $2 million. So it really does depend upon the impact on their lives.
Well, I'd love to have you all come back, because I think it's important to talk about how the Catholic Church goes forward and moves forward and stays intact and strong without these kind of individuals in it. I think certainly that's worthy of a discussion, don't you, Tom?
Bill, yes,
Bill, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's true. But 79% of the victims in Los Angeles are male. 81%, according to the John Jay study a few years ago, were male. And the vast majority of them, almost 80%, are post-pubescent. it's homosexuals. I'm not saying homosexuality causes someone to be a predator. That would be malicious. But I am saying this: we have a problem within the Catholic Church of some homosexual men who are putting their hands on the kids. They got to be thrown out.
All right. Well, on that note, Bill, Donnie, sorry to call you Tom, Ray Boucher, and Manuel Vega. Thanks so much, gentlemen, all of you, for coming in this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good thing I'm not hard of hearing. Wow, you got a loud
I
voice,
know.
Bill.
I'm sorry for doing that.
That's okay.
I grew up in an Irish family. My grandmother had this convenient hearing. You know, she couldn't hear except what you wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And I always do that. I'm sorry for doing that.
That's okay. That's okay. Thanks again, and we'll be back right after this.